Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Sanjeev.
मैम बहुत इको होती मैम इको होची
Hello?
हेलो मैम इको होची मैम
এটা কাହିଁକି ଇକୋ ହଉଛି?
Hello, madam. Madam, ନମସ୍କାର, ଅଜୟ କହୁଥିଲି।
ଆଜ୍ଞା?
ଅଜୟ କହୁଛି, ଅଜୟ। ଆପଣ
ଅଜୟ ସାର୍ ନମସ୍କାର।
ହଁ ମ୍ୟାଡାମ ନମସ୍କାର। ଆପଣ ଯୋଡେ ଖୋଲି ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି ତେଣୁ ଇକୋ ହଉଛି, ଗୋଟେ କାଟନ୍ତୁ। ଦିଥର ଜଏନ କରି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଦୁଇଟା ଖୋଲିଛି ବୋଲି ହଉଛି।
ଆପଣ ଦିଥର ଜଏନ କରିଛନ୍ତି, ଗୋଟେ କାଟନ୍ତୁ, ଲିଭ୍ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ ଗୋଟାକରୁ।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ?
ଆପଣ ଏବେ ବି ଦିଟାରେ ଅଛନ୍ତି ମ୍ୟାଡାମ। ଆପଣ ଗୋଟେକରୁ ଲିଭ୍ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ।
ଗୋଟେରେ ତ?
ନହେଲେ ଟୋଟାଲ ଲିଭ୍ ହେଇକି ଆଉ ଥରେ ଜଏନ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଆପଣ ଟୋଟାଲ ଲିଭ୍ ହେଇଯାଆନ୍ତୁ, ଆଉ ଥରେ ଜଏନ କରନ୍ତୁ। ଜଏନ ଏଗେନ୍।
हाँ ठीक कह दो फोन करे
सुबह अनम्यूट करते
Excuse me, ma'am. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Now
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So
Yes ma'am.
yes, this is the first class. So I missed the third January class. It will be taken afterwards. So the paper is MES-42. So that is dimensions of educational management. So here educational management means how the education is formed, the different types of educational institution, different types of policies, different types of frameworks, how it is formed. It is formed by the bureaucrats in the their conference, and this is implemented at the school level, college level, different level. So education in India, it is first it is only in the union list, then it is became a concurrent list in 1976. When it become a concurrent list, the nation, the state and intermediate bodies, they can have the power to implement the certain laws on education. So these laws, which include how the primary education will be going on, what are the class to be included, because now we are having 2020 educational policy. Beforehand we have 1986. So these are the different types of educational policy that are framed to guide our education system. So why this education system to be implemented different in different decades? Because education is there, its scope, it has broadened from past decades, from the Mughal Empire, from the Buddhist. So, but some sector only they are getting education. But nowadays, the government policy is the irrespective of class, grade, religion, all should get education. So, free primary education, and then the education of the secondary education, college education. So, different types of policies are framed. So here the educational planning and educational policy that are closely interrelated, and dimensions of the educational management can help to facilitate the development. So when these dimensions are considered, that can help our educational system in the country. So educational management consists of 4 units. Here the your paper dimensions of educational management that deals with the 4 units. First unit that deals with the formulation and policy planning, and second unit that organizational structure. I mean, what are the different departments? What are the different personalities? The personals they can employ. All these things. So this MHRD, that means Human Resource Development, the Ministry of Human Resource Development, that in charge of our education at national level, and our government education department, they are also looking our state education department. So all these are taking care of our education system, because education is the one of the important aspect that can make our GDP grow. So gross domestic power that can be developed only by education. So if education, who are the consumers? Our students are the consumers. So if they are educated, they can earn more, and that money is the source of income of the country. So here, third unit that deals with the role of national bodies, which are bodies, that is our different types of that is what the NCRT, NIPA, all these are the bodies that are taking care of the education of our country. So this unit deals with the coordination and cooperation between union and the states in the field of education with the help of different government bodies. So now we can see what is the dimension of educational management. We have seen the 4 units that are dealing with it, and then it deals first. It deals with the policy making. So policy planning and policy formulation, these are both are one thing when they are coordinated together. So this is means the organization structure of the education and its coordination networking at the state level and the central level, they are covered in the dimension of educational management. So the policy planning of the state level and the center that deals with the relationship they are having, how the union or national level or union government, they're helping the state governments in educational field, that is paying the salaries of the teachers, paying different stipends to the students, growing the different educational institution. So all these are the how they are coordinating each other and developing the education system of the country. So there's the focus of the decentralization of management, where the management process has been distributed to the district and sub-district level. So the decentralization of management and community involvement is the keystone of any management. So when you give certain type of liberty to the state to do according to your needs, the state has the power to think of its own consideration, how the students of the Odisha government they can be developed. But because the Kerala development, they are different economic, socio-economic status. Ours have a different socio-economic status. So depending upon their socio-economic status, the demands of the type of education is required. So the union government has given this power to the state government to they look after its own education system and helping in different power. That is means the decentralization of education system. So decentralization means departmentalization. What is the department? Different departments. School department is primary school department, secondary, higher secondary. All these are the research department. All these are different departments looking at the total education system of the country. So here in centralization policy, decisions are made by the top executives or the basis of the preset policies. What are the policy makers? They are first formed, but it is implemented to the local bodies like gram panchayat, village education committees, and that are get opportunity in also policy planning. So here education management is quasi-federal nation constituting of 28 states and 7 union territories. Our India is quasi-federal nation, so these are the union territories and states. They can be benefited by this system. So this constitution provides directive principles. Here education is also in the directive principle included. So regarding the development of education throughout the country, the areas in which respective central and state governments have jurisdiction have been specified as central list and the state list and the concurrent list. So this is after 1976. It was differentiated at the state list, union list, and the your concurrent list. So this is how the system of national policy of education that in 1986 was formed to specify the role of center and states in implementing the policy. So here policy is to deliberate plan or the course of action intended to influence and determine the decisions and actions and other matters. So policy can be understood as political management, financial and administrative. So the mechanisms that arranged to reach this goal, that policy is very essential for every frameworks of the constitution, frameworks of the policy makers. So these are the policy differs from rules and laws can be compelled or prohibit behavior. Policy merely guides actions towards those that are most likely to achieve a desired outcome. Policy making is first step in any planning cycle, or planners must appreciate the dynamics of policy formulation before they can design the implementation and evaluation procedure effectively. So here educational policy refers to a plan of action, because 1986 national policy NP the frame, then the action plan also frame. So action plan is the real work the education performs many purposes through different institutions, and like your children's kindergarten to your college level or your vocational level education institutions. So these processes which people seek at different ages, this policy framework is very much essential. Here what happened, the pre-primary or elementary education 6 to 14 years age, that is the how to give equal opportunity to all irrespective of gender, caste, class, and to achieve the national goals. Educational policy have been formulated, and committees like the Radhakrishnan Commission, Mudalar Commission, NP 1986, that all are framed accordingly. Here, what happened? The conceptual framework of the policy formulation. What is known as conceptual framework of policy formulation? Educational policy is framed according to the perspectives of the country. So why perspective? Because the socio-economic condition of a locality that demands what type of education a child has to get. so that he or she can equip with that education or equip with that skill power to face the situation of his own locality, then own nearer to other in his locality. So these are the how this coordination can be framed. So here that according to the perspectives of the country in reference to location, geographical situation, population, culture, social stratification, this policy is framed, and it is aimed to reduce the regional and social and gender disparity. So another one, this is the one type of policy making the cause. Another is political contest. So what is political contest? Then political environment is necessary to understand the national educational policy, because the political environment is necessary. Why? Because here if you have the different types of disparity, communal disparity, different partisans, all these are there. So what type of education is now, it is not a one state or on one subject, but it is involving whole country, whole world education. So here the role of education must play in socio-political process. So this is necessary that the policy making of the education should be according to that it can cover the socio-political processes of the country. So another is economic context. If because GDP should be developed according to the education system. So here, before formulating the educational policy, an assessment of the financial and human resources is essential to estimate the financial resources of the country, which requires from education sector and what the education sector expects from the rest economy, that is general infrastructure and financial resources. So first is our education system requires from the government that should be this type of help, this type of system should be there, and after that they giving such type of opportunity to the institution, the government also, education sector also, that requires that type of return from the education system. So it is difficult to build schools without necessary economic structure. That is NIPA, or we can National Policy of Education 1986 that proposed 6% of GDP should be spent on education. But till that, 3.8 GDP spent on education. It is not possible to provide schools with adequate infrastructure and other facilities, because only 3.8 is given to the schools and education policy. So the level of economic development also sets range of policies taxation by government. So our economic taxation जोरा रोची से taxation पे हमें बेबे कौन को educational cess दोचो educational cess about only 2%. So this is how the taxable income for the secondary and higher education that comes. So diagnosis of educational scenario. What is the now we can see the economic and the socio-political status of our country. So what is the diagnosis of the educational scenario? Educational policy analysis starts with an identification and understanding of the major or sectoral issues relevant to the country. Issues may be available access to educational opportunities, how to further to improve, and availability of access to educational opportunity, how to improve, and structure of educational system, then in internal efficiency like rates, and then repetition rate, transaction rate, and promotion rate, and then several efficiency like your institutional arrangement like that, etc. That are how it can develop the different types of educational institution in our country to give certain return to the country by providing all these things. So now who will in charge of this? The stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are the like here different organization. So different organization of the country who are looking after education system. These are we can say that politicians and because MLA MPs they are also taking certain type of steps in our education system by putting their question in the assembly about different types of questions, that is on primary education, secondary education, then teachers payment, all these factors. So politicians, elected representatives, they also called as the stakeholders that looking after the educational policy making. Then civil servants, bureaucrats and administrators, IS, IP, alerts service persons, they are in the ministry level, every secretariat. So they are also looking out. Then professional bodies, then their Council of Advisory Board of Education, NCRT and NIPA, UGC, all these are there also taking care of the education system. Then pressure group, who are the pressure group, who are the politician, they who are the very in the prominent in education system, political parties, voluntary organization, then media, the mass media, and the people in general. They are all are involved in the formulation and implementation of the policy of education system. So here we can say that different commissions like Mudaliar Commission, Kothari Commission, and University Grant Commission, they all have also given different suggestion and recommendation towards the education policy of the country. So here we can see that in 1986, our National Policy of Education, a policy perceptive, that is challenges of education, a policy perspective that was first brought by the Union Ministry in 1985 and that implemented in the 1986. So here this they are the planners. Who are the planners? The bureaucrats are the planners, and the teachers, student, parents, and intellectual and common citizens, they have also them certain type of initiation in implementing the type of education system in our country. So this is all a research type of all planning a research type, the for framing, then implementing, then finding the what are the effects of this system. So this is the what are the constraint and limitation while suggesting the tasks and strategies for achieving that education system, that means universal elementary education. When it's come to that, different types of problems arises, and that there is also a certain changes has been taken place. So here we can see that educational policy in India, the historical evolution, how the historical, because we first see the historical division in, that is our Mughal emperors, then the East India Company, then Lord William Bentinck, Wood Dispatch, Hunter Commission, Government Resolution. All these are the different type of national education policy. All these are the different historical backgrounds which looking after the education policy in our country. Here, educational policy in ancient time, we can say that these are the determined by the kings and rulers with the help of their advisors. Education was given importance according to the value attached to it by the different rulers in different provinces. So first, educational policy during the Mughal period. What is the Mughal period? So the Babur, who was a knowledgeable man with knowledge of Arabic, Persian and Turkish, he had a taste for poetry, and he started educating not only the Mughal emperors people, but all the people that should be educated. So he developed not only the Muslim will get education, Hindus also get education, and education should be in the form of Sanskrit books. So he had translated these Sanskrit books in different languages, and he started the educational policy at the Mongol level. So next is Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb is also educated person. He also taking care of the how to expand the education institution and give the orders where issued provisional governments to look into the education of their subject. The education system that was flexible, simple, and practical. The schools did not have special buildings, and the classes were conducted either in the house of the teachers or temples or in the open air. So duration of teaching and timing were adjusted as per the convenience of the teacher and students could join the patsala or the wherever the education will be. So କଣ ତମାନେ ସବୁ କିଛି ବୁଝି ପାରୁଛ? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So education policy during the East India Company, East India को हमर जो आसिले गवर्नर माने से माने कोन कले how they have started education. They have started minutes of education like Lord Macaulay minutes, Bentinck proclamation of 1835, and another is Wood's Dispatch 1854. So all are different types of education system they have started. Then education policy under the British government. Here the British government means the first the Hunter Commission. Hunter Commission is the first Indian Education Commission of 1882 and 83, and it was appointed by Lord Ripon, appointed the first Indian Education Commission with the Sir William Hunter as the chairman to inquire the particularly into the manner which effect has been given to the principles of Dispatch 1854. So this commission also assessed the educational policy very minutely and suggested the following measures. What are the measures of this Hunter Commission? Page number 14 what are the so given that it was in favor of withdrawal of the government from direct control in education. The commission again recommended recognition of extension of all indigenous schools. It observed that the supervision and monitoring of indigenous elementary schools should be vested with the municipal and local boards. The commission advocated for the secular education in the schools. So far as the colleges and secondary schools were concerned, the commission recommended the gradual transfer of government institutions to efficient private bodies. It did not favor the transference of higher education to missionaries as was demanded by them. So, while recognizing the significance of elementary education, the Commission recommended that the area of the district or municipal board should be fixed as the school area, and the local body concerned should be constituted as the school board for the particular locality with full power and control over primary education. So, primary education become localized. So, the recommendation had an adverse impact on the status of the primary education as the government instead of taking responsibility of primary education transfers it to the weak bodies that are entrusted with the responsibility of generating finances and the resources. The main consequence of the recommendation, what happened? The control of primary education was completely transferred to the local bodies. The government refused to open more colleges and secondary schools on their own. Great encouragement was given to Indian private enterprise. The principles of missionary enterprise can occupy only subordinate position. Then these are the what are the happen in the British period education system. Then government resolution on education policy 1904. 1904 that also Lord Curzon has given certain type of recommendation, so that legal power of existing universities should be enlarged so that there might be recognized as teaching bodies. So another university should be, it took upon the first one is in the primary education, second one is in the university education. So then it is a Gokhale's resolution implied on the Legislative Council in 1911. It has given on the more important on the member of council to provide a gradual introduction of the principles of compulsion into the elementary education of the country. Though the bill was rejected, meaning the towards the compulsory education bill. Compulsory education reject हो गया. Then resolution of government of India on education 1913. It was also on the curriculum. Then increasing the number of existing institutions, all different types of heads. It was framed. Next, national movement of education. National movement, any movement can change the Indian education system. So here different movements are 1905 to 1921. That first in Government of India Act 1919, that is a movement to change certain types of education policy in our country. Then here education under provisional autonomy and Congress Ministry. Congress Ministry in 1935, that Congress Ministry, how education was framed. Here Mahatma Gandhi also took the most important, and then Naya Talim was also linked with the need and requirements of child in Indian context, and that here also diversion of students from the basic school to other kinds of school should be allowed after the 5th class and about the age of 11 plus. So these are the changes that has taken. And then next is education policy in India since independence. Independence to कौन तुम्हारे education policy. So first है कौन University Education Commission or the Radhakrishnan Commission 1948. So here the medium higher education and creation of new university, aims of university education, standard of research and universities and its purpose, organization and administration of university, financial problems and of university, qualification and conditions of service, salary, privilege, and function of university. All these are looked after by the Radhakrishnan Commission. The second Education Commission, that is Mudaliar Commission, that its aims and organization and content of secondary education, relationship to primary, basic, and higher education, interrelationship of secondary schools of different types. Next is your all in your books. So if you have to only pinpointed the what are the different historical involvement in the educational policy. Say national policy of, then comes national policy of education, that is 1968. So it was 1968 Kothari Commission. He has given free compulsory education and to the Article 45, that constitution giving the compulsory education, free compulsory education for all children up to the age of 14 years. So it is our constitution that is framed, and it was imprinted that all child should get education. So here the language, it regional language and 3 language formula also included. Then equalization of educational opportunity here also involved. That is means the irrespective of caste, grade, gender disparity, the child should get education, that free primary education, and all educational facilities should be given to the all students. So here common school system, that is promote the social cohesion and national integration, common school system should be adopted. And here the work experience and national service, so, means our national service bodies like your गाइड गाइड अच्छी आ कौन अच्छी हमरो ये जो एनएसएस एसब जो रहा से they are also involved in type of social work, and so science education and research also getting certain type of accelerating growth. So national level and science education research should be received the priority. Education for agriculture and industry here also given importance. So here another thing that production of books. Yeah, books, how the books will be provided to the children. It should be print in the our state book bureau. So here the quality of books should be improved by attracting the best writing talent through a liberal policy of incentive and remuneration. And immediate steps should be taken for the production of higher quality textbook for the schools and university. Then implementation of examination system. A major goal of examination reform should be improved the reliability and validity of examination, and to make the evaluation a continuous process aimed at helping the student to improve their achievement rather than certifying the quality of his performance. So here secondary education also getting certain type of changes that's according to the social change and the transformation has been made. Facilities for secondary education should be according to the extended expeditionally in areas and classes which has been denied this in the past. जो एरियाज सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन नथिला सेटिकु सेमानकु फैसिलिटीज दिया हला. Then provision of facilities for secondary and vocational education should be confirmed broadly to requirements of developing country and real employment opportunity. So after secondary education, a child can get through the vocational education. So this is vocational education. Here he can earn his livelihood from that. So this vocational or technical education after secondary education that was started afterwards, and these facilities for technical and vocational education should be suitably diversified to cover the large number of fields such as agriculture, industry, trade, commerce, medicine, public health, home management, arts, crafts, like that. Then university education, number of whole-time students to be admitted to a college or university. Full time they will be admitted in college and university department, and with reference to their laboratory, library, and other facility, and to strengthen their staff. So considerable care is needed to establish in the new universities. Next is special attention should be given to the organization of postgraduate courses to the improvement of standards of training and research at that level. Centers of the advanced studies should be strengthened, and there should be increased support to research, and university generally and institution for research should be as far as possible function within the folds of university and intimate association with them. Then what is the educational structure? It will be advantageous to have a broadly uniform educational structure in all parts of the country. Ultimate objective should be adapted to 10 plus 2 plus 3. Our education policy 1980 can 10 plus 2 plus 3. So 3 is higher education and 2 is secondary education. It is your school education, 10th. So here in which there is higher secondary education of 2 years to be located in their schools, and colleges or both according to the local conditions. जो college रे से plus 2 रही पारे बा school ले मध्य रही पारे. 6% of GDP for education. The Commission proposed that the reconstruction of education will be needed for additional outlay. The aim should be gradually to increase the investment of education as so as to that reach the level of expenditure of 6%. आगु 3 दिया होता एबे 6% ताकू अधिका दिया हबो एजुकेशन ये को. सो नेशनल इनकम एज अर्ली एज पॉसिबल. गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया also review every 5 years the progress made by the recommendation guidelines of future development. For no further review book take place till 1986 when the next education policy was pronounced. So national education policy in 1986 key features कौन key features देला सेटा first होची there should be respect of caste, grade, co-location and sex, have access to education of a compatible equality. Second, that school system should consider 10 plus 2 plus 3 structure. Third, the national school education system based on national curriculum framework. So here next is there should be thrust in elementary education, emphasis on two aspects: universal enrollment, retention of the children up to 14 years, and a substantial improvement of quality of education. Retention, those who have failed, they should be in the class again, they should be promoted. So this is science and mathematics education will be compulsory for all children during the 10 years of schooling. 3 language formulas should be implemented. To improve the higher education, there will be consideration and expansion of facilities. Then efforts will be made to improve the evaluation system. So evaluation should be what? Objective type, objective based evaluation. So next, the report of these task forces compiled in a document called Program of Action (POA). जो नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑफ एजुकेशन आमर चैलेंजेस टू नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑफ एजुकेशन जोड़ा थिला सेटा आमर एक्टिवेट इंप्लीमेंटेड कोड द्वारा हला ना प्रोग्राम ऑफ एक्शन POA सेटा फ्रेम हला से POA व्हाट इज द POA that POA access of education was increased in the formal as well non-formal sector. The existing schools and polytechnics, colleges, libraries were strengthened. Several centrally sponsored schemes like Operation of Blackboard, Vocational of Education, Non-Formal Education, Educational Technology, Navodaya Vidyalaya, Adult Education, Distant Education that were launched. So these are newly launched to implement the new educational policy. The आचार्य राममूर्ति कमिटी जो 1990 रे जो हैला सी मध्य हम डिफरेंट चेंजेस कला अंडर द चेयरमैनशिप ऑफ आचार्य राममूर्ति. So he suggested the target of removing illiteracy from the country still unfulfilled and should reaching to now where, and there will be still lot of disparity in access of education. Vocationalization of education had not picked up. So it has their recommendation, these are not happened. So new education policy should give importance to the equity and social justice, decentralization of educational management, establishment of perceptive educational order, then inculcation of values that are indispensable for creation of enlightened and human society, empowerment for work. All these are involved. All essential resources, human, non-human, must be made available to the children if quality of education is to improve. Early child care education should be becoming integral part of the planning of primary education. Serious efforts should be made towards the establishment of common school system. Most or more strenuous or serious efforts should be needed to remove all kinds of disparity in the access of quality education. Value education need to be made integral part of the education at all levels. Socially useful productive work SUPW programs should be maybe made more effective. Then जनार्दन कमिटी ऑफ नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑफ एजुकेशन ये सब देखिबो एगुड़ा सब अच्छी सबुतर विषय किछि किछि देखिदेव एते गुड़ा पड़िबन खाली कौन कौन कमिटी अच्छी जोटा हिस्टोरिकल बैकग्राउंड ऑफ पॉलिसी मेकिंग सेटा मोस्ट इंपोर्टेंट से ना गुड़ा को मन रखी से माने को ऊपर कले किए प्राइमरी एजुकेशन के सेकेंडरी के है यूनिवर्सिटी एजुकेशन सेटा मोस्ट इंपोर्टेंट. देन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट दैट इज डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ एजुकेशन. This is now we are all our education policy is based on this human resource department. So human resource department that is formulating the education policy according to the national needs and the fulfillment of constitutional obligations. Formulation of annual plans, 5-year plans for the education sector, review programs, schemes, timely monitoring a plan, expenditure, outlay, budget, All these are the coverage of your MHRD department. So first is Central Advisory Board of Education, CABE. এটা গোটে আমার stakeholder who are taking care of the who are the stakeholders of the educational management policy. These are first one is CABE. That is Central Advisory Board of Education. It is advised to advise the central and state government in the field of education, and it was first established in 1920, but dissolved in 1923 as a measure of economy. Economic effort ହେଇପାରିଲାନି ବୋଲି ସେଟା drop out ହେଲା. Then it is was reviewed in 1935. Again review ये ଆମର ଇଷ୍ଟ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ କମ୍ପାନୀରେ ଦ୍ୱାରା 1935 ରେ ଆମର ରିଭ୍ୟୁ ହେଲା. Despite the past fact that the past and important decision had been taken on the advice of CABE, Central Advisory Board of Education, and it had provided the forum for a wider spread consultation and examination of issues relating to educational and cultural development, and is unfortunately not reconstituted after the expiry of the extended tenure till March 1994. So these are the different activities of CABE. Again, the planning commission, second which was the planning commission, the planning commission was set up by the resolution of Government of India in March 1950. So the planning commission works under the overall guidance of the National Development Council, India's primary policy making body, which guides the nation on development process. The planning commission, with the Prime Minister as the chairman, is the central executive agency for the planning process. So the principal task of planning commission is to formulate 5-year plan, annual plans for the most effective and balanced utilization of the country's material, capital, and human resources, appraise from time to time the progress in their implementation and recommendation and adjustment of policy and measures that are to be considered necessary in the light of the such appraisal. So all the divisions in planning, government, and the various non-official agency study and examine the various problems, issues relating to the formulation as well as implementation of the plan, programs, and policy in their respective fields. Next is our advisory institution. Which are the advisory institution in our educational planning? So first is a National University of Educational Planning and Administration, NUPA. So this NUPA that was established in the Ministry of Human Research Department and Department of Education, Government of India. That is a premier institute of dealing with the capacity building and research in planning and administration of education. The core activities of the university including training, research, and consultative services in educational planning and administration, both national and international levels. NIPA was actively involved in the content analysis of the responses during the formulation of National Policy on Education 1986. Again, NUPA conducts and sponsors and coordinates the interrelationship research with the focus on the theory, policy, relevance, methods, techniques, and processes of educational policy planning management. NUPA research provides sound and empirical and analytical base for the policy and planning formulation. The university also offers a number of research programs for like MPhil, PhD, postdoctoral programs in educational policy planning and finance administration. Next hoji NUPA pare asla NCRT, National Council of Education Research and Training. So this was also set up by the Government of India in 1961 as an autonomous organization to advise and assist the Ministry of Human Resource Development and Departments of Education in states. So here these policies and major programs in the field of education, particularly for the qualitative improvement of school education, and that has taken into consideration. The activities of NCRT include preparation of textbook and instructional materials. ତମର ସବୁ ଯାହା ବୁକ୍ ଏନସିଟି ବନଉଛି କାରଣ ଏନସିଟି ର ତା ହଉଛି ବୁକ୍ ବନେଇବା କୋର୍ସ ତିଆରି କରିବା। So the activities of NCRT includes preparation of textbook and instructional materials for children, इनोवेटिव प्री सर्विस टीचर एजुकेशन जो टीचर ट्रेनिंग कॉलेज जो अच्छी से प्रोग्राम एंड लाइक द 4 years बीएससी बीएड प्रोग्राम इंटीग्रेटेड बीएससी कोर्स इंटीग्रेटेड बीए कोर्स सो से तुम नॉर्मल फॉर्मल एजुकेशन संगे संगे तुमको ट्रेनिंग एजुकेशन बीएड ट्रेनिंग दिया होची। So 2 years MEd elementary PG diploma course in guidance and counseling. So all these are courses directed by the National Council of Education Research and Training. Then University Grant Commission UGC. UGC means the coordination and determination of standards in higher education. Education standard होची ताकू मापिया को यूजीसी अच्छी कारण आम नाक टीम आसूची एक्रेडिटेशन सब रोची से को कॉलेज केते ए प्लस के बी प्लस सब पाउछंती कहीं ना हायर एजुकेशन सिस्टम जहाँ रहिबा कथा अच्छी ना नहीं कोठी लेकुना रहिला कोठी ठीक अच्छी ए सब से स्टडी करिवो यूजीसी। So central government has the look after the higher education through this UGC, and this responsibility is discharged mainly through the University Grant Commission, which is established in 1956 under the Act of Parliament to take measures for promotion and coordination of education and determination and maintenance of standards in teaching, examination, and research universities. So, to fulfill all these objectives, Commission can inquire among the other things into financial needs of the university, allocate and disburse grants to them, establish and maintain common services and facilities, recommend measures to improve the university education, and give advice on allocation of grants and establish a new university. So these are the university grants commission say their responsibility. Next होची national institute of open schooling जेमती तमरा एटा इग्नू हैला से इंदिरा गांधी ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी सेंती এটা হলা open schooling NIOS, so that offers open and distance learning pre-degree level program ranging from basic education to senior secondary education together with a large number of vocational education courses. Thus it is one of the institutions in helping achieve the goals of NIP, National Policy of Education, that is by increasing the access to education which results in dynamics of inclusive learning society. So these are the how these different parties are involved in education system. Okay, এটা কোনটা হয়ে গেল পুনি
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ମ୍ୟୁଟ୍ ଅଛି ଆପଣଙ୍କର।
ହେଲା ଏବେ?
ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍। ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
କଣ ଅଛି କହ? ଇଣ୍ଟରାକ୍ସନ କରିବା କଣ ତମମାନଙ୍କର କୋଉଥିରେ ଜାଣିବାକୁ ଅଧିକା ଅଛି? ଜାଣିପାରିଲନି କହ ମତେ। ଆମର ତାପରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ସ୍କିମ୍ ସବୁ ଅଛି ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟର ଯୋଉ ଏଜୁକେସନ ପଲିସି ନନ୍ ଫର୍ମାଲ ଏଜୁକେସନ ସ୍କିମ୍, ଅପରେସନାଲ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ବୋର୍ଡ ସ୍କିମ୍, ସେ ବିଷୟରେ ତମର ସେଟା ବହୁତ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ କାରଣ ଏଟା ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଏଜୁକେସନ ପଲିସି ଭିତରେ ଯାଉଛି। ସିଏ କଣ କଣ କରିଛି, the schemes that programs that has been developed through educational policy. So what first we see non-formal education. So non-formal education means to fulfill the constitutional goals of providing free compulsory education to all children up to the age of 14. The state has to provide education which is both relevant and interesting. For a variety of reasons, the formal school system had tended to leave out millions of rural and urban poor children who were not able to attend a full-time class, a day school. କାହିଁକିନା ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କର ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟହୁଡ୍ କୁ ତାଙ୍କର ଆର୍ନିଂରେ ହେଲ୍ପ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ତେଣୁ ଫୁଲ୍ ଟାଇମ୍ ସେମାନେ ଦେବେ। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ତାଙ୍କୁ କ'ଣ ହେଲା ନନ୍ ଫର୍ମାଲ at any age they can have the education. So this is consequently a need to help for the developing a viable alternative system of education which would provide basic education for all children in the country. That is the non-formal education was evolved was one such alternative, and non-formal education as an alternative to formal elementary education was experimented with early as 1976, at which the time 9 educationally backward states in the country were persuaded to initiate the experimental education. So this non-formal education supported by the central government, and that is primary, based on the primary education, and that educational backward states will be benefited by them. So this is how the non-formal education can be involved in the primary education of the student irrespective of their age. No age bar is there, they can get primary education. So another thing is that operational blackboard. Here the operational blackboard is based on the National Policy of Education 1986 to improve the education system. So operational blackboard system was launched in 1987 with an aim to improve school environment and enhancing the retention and learning achievement of children by providing minimum essential infrastructure and academic facilities in all primary schools. It was major initiative to improve the teacher and pupil ratio, that is made to provision for second teacher to all single teacher primary schools. So single teachers primary school रे से माने केमिति तांको मैनेज करिवे सेई ब्लैक ऑपरेशनल ब्लैक बोर्ड रे सबु तांको हेल्प थिबो सेथिरे समान सब देखि कि पिला को पाठ पढेबे. So it is called a scheme mainly comprised of three components. One is building comprised of at least two reasonably large all weather rooms with a deep veranda and separate toilet facilities for boys and girls. Second, at least two teachers, and as far as one of them being the woman, and essential teaching and learning material including blackboard, maps, chart, toys, equipment should be present. So three elements should be there in operational blackboard scheme. So under this scheme, the provision and construction of building was to be the responsibility of the state government, which funds the salary of the second teacher in the single teachers schools, and for the supply of essential teaching learning material were to be provided by the central government. So central government will give you all the facilities, and the teacher will be provided by the state government. So the scheme was revised by 1992 to expand the scope of the operational blackboard system to provide 3 teachers and 3 rooms for to primary schools, whether the enrollment exceed 100 or it was extended to cover the upper primary schools as well. The Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, MHRD, sponsored a nationwide study on the implementation and effects of the centrally sponsored and operational Blackboard scheme in 1998. The study was undertaken by the National Institute of Education Planning and Administration, so and NUPA. Here, the recommendation is given by NUPA on this operational blackboard, and it primarily considered to comprehensive all India survey describing the extent of disbursement, usages, and impact of components of blackboard scheme. So this operational blackboard scheme. So they are given different suggestion for the improvement of this. Then next come the national program of national support to primary education. So the NPE, so that is given, national program of nutrition support is given to primary education, and commonly to the midday meal scheme. The midday meal scheme आरंभ होला केबे 15 August 1995. Here its objective was to boost the universalization of primary education by increasing enrollment, retention, and attendance, and the simultaneously impacting on nutrition of students in primary classes. तांको न्यूट्रिशन खाଇବା ଦେଇକି ତାଙ୍କୁ କେମିତି ଏନରୋଲମେଣ୍ଟ ତାଙ୍କର ପିଲାଙ୍କ ବେଶୀ ଖାଇବାକୁ ମିଳୁଛି, ଯେଉଁମାନେ ନ ଖାଇବାକୁ ପାଉଥିବେ ଗୋଟେ ଇଏ, ସେମାନେ ଆସିବେ ପାଠ ପଢିବାକୁ, ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ସେଇ କ୍ଲାସରେ ରଖାହବ, ରିଟେନସନ ହବ, ତାଙ୍କ ଆଟେଣ୍ଡାନ୍ସ ରହିବ, ଆଉ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଫିଡିଂ ମଧ୍ୟ ଦିଆହବ. So, apart from enhancing the school attendance, the child nutrition midday meals have been an important social value and foster the bondage and equality. So, as children are diverse background, together common meal, it intends to break the caste barrier and class inequality. Moreover, in the household, the boys are generally given the preferences. As the consequences, the girls are more affected by hunger. A midday meal can improve the educational nutritional status of the girl child. So these are the different aims and objectives of this midday meal program. Then Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya, that is promotion of girls' education has been emphasized in all policy document. Then KGB means Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya program that is launched in 2004, July 2004, and designed to encourage the greater participation of girls in education at the upper primary level. Under the scheme, 2075 residential schools at upper primary level have been sanctioned for girls belonging to predominantly SC, ST, OBC, and minority communities in educationally backward block having high gender gap and low female literacy. जोटी हाई जेंडर गैप बेसी थी जोटी लो फिमेल से कस्तूरबा गांधी बालिका विद्यालय रही गर्ल्स मान हायर एजुकेशन सेकेंडरी हायर एजुकेशन सुविधा देते. Next was the teacher education. The centrally sponsored scheme of teacher education was launched in 1987 and 88 as a follow-up the recommendation of National Policy of Education. It aimed at creating an institutional infrastructure to provide academic and technical resource support for the continuous education training of school teachers, district institutes of education and training, that, then the city, then ISC, or that advanced studies in education, then college of teacher education, all that involved in the giving free service in service training to the teachers of secondary schools. So this gives certain type of help to the would-be teachers, and that those who are in teaching profession, they are in service training be also giving, so they can be trained. So there is also that, so which are almost all the districts of the country, NUPA, that is conducted a evaluation of the scheme and pointed the several problems related to the functioning of DATS. Then Kendra Vidyalaya Sangatana, so KVS. So the scheme Kendra Vidyalaya Sangatana was launched to provide on uninterpreted education to the wards of transferable central government employees. Initially, 20 schools were established, which has been increased to 1919 functional schools, including 3 abroad, that is Kathmandu and Moscow and Tehran. So केंद्र विद्यालय गुड़िक आमर जो मैंने ट्रांसफर हो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट, the children can get education. So Navodaya Vidyalaya Samiti, that is the government of India has launched the scheme to establish an average one Jawaharlal Navodaya and each district, with the aim to provide quality modern education, including a strong component of cultural values, environment awareness, physical education to talented children in rural areas without regard to their family and socio-economic condition. So, so Navavidyalas were fully residential co-educational institution, providing education up to the senior secondary stage. Education in these schools includes boarding and lodging and textbook and uniform, etc., and free for all students. So नवोदय जो मैंने एडमिशन नियंती से मैंने मेरिट बेसिस से दिया हुए आ से मेरिट पास कले से एडमिशन बही लजिंग खाइबार सब यूनिफॉर्म सब फ्री मिले. Then vocationalization of secondary education at +2 level. So centrally sponsored scheme of vocationalization of secondary education at +2 level is being implemented since 1988. The scheme provides for financial assistance to the states to set up the administrative structure and area of vocational surveys, preparation of curriculum, textbook, workbook, curriculum guides, and training manuals. So all these are vocational education also provide a certain type of scope to to improve the standard of teaching. So here the standard of teaching is not to give certain type of education qualification, but to how to make them more working, more efficient to go for any work. So vocationalization, that is most important. So national level of educational projects have been also discussed. DPEP, so the district primary education project, that is that DPEP, that is also gain more state level importance, like projects and what usually launched by the district primary education program in 1994 in 42 districts, was spread over the 7 states and was later extended to 285 districts in 18 states. So DPP was launched to improve the areas and retention achievement among the primary school going to age group of children, with a focus of girls and children belonging to socially deprived, economically backward section of the society. So ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏଇଟା ଆମର କେତେଟା ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ଓଡ଼ିଶାରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ହେଇଥିଲା, କେତେଟା ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ରେ ହେଲା, ତାକୁ ପୁଣି ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରାଗଲା ତା କେତେ ଦୂର ବେନିଫିଟ୍ସ ହେଉଛନ୍ତି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଦେଖାଗଲା ସେଟା ଏତେ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାନ୍ସ ଦିଆହେଲାନି. ପୁଣି ନ୍ୟୁ ଏଜୁକେସନ ପଲିସି ସବୁ ବାହାରିଲା. କ'ଣ ନା ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ଅନ୍ ଫର୍ ଏଜୁକେସନ ଫର୍ ଗାର୍ଲସ at elementary education level, NPEGEN. ସେଟାକୁ କହୁଛନ୍ତି। So national program for education of girls, G ମାନେ girls in elementary level. So NPGL formulated for education under privileged and disadvantaged girls from class 1 to 8 as a separate and distinct gender component plan of Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. This was started as an amendment to the scheme of Sarva Shiksha Abhijan for providing additional components of education of girls at elementary level. This scheme lays down the community-based approach that involves sectors at all levels following particular approach in its implementation. This scheme targets at the school girls and dropouts and overaged girls who have not completed elementary education, working girls, girls from marginalized social group, girls low maintenance and girls with low levels achievement. Girls education को improve करिया को NPGEGL program टा develop करा. Then सर्व शिक्षा अभियान. So सर्व शिक्षा अभियान was launched nationwide in 2001 to 2002 for achieving the goal of universal elementary education. So at time of bound approach and the largest development of program in the world, SSA Sarva Shiksha Abhijan is integrated and comprehensive scheme to achieve universal elementary education in a partnership with the state government, local self-government, and the community and the civil society. The program is aimed at mainstream out of the school children through diverse strategies and on providing 8 years of schooling for all children of 6 to 14 age group, and the thrust is on bridging the gender and social gap and total retention of all children in schools. So this is the Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. Then that improve the DPEP program. So this is the DPEP program that also district primary education that look after the how the Sarva Shiksha Abhijan will be fulfilled. So while quality still remains an area of concern, the SSA will be able to increase the schooling facility, enrollment, retention. So it has been able to bridge the enrollment, retention, achievement gaps between the sexes and among the social groups. So this is our what is the planning and how it can help the different programs of our education system to implement different strategies to get some output. So these outputs are sometimes they are failure, sometimes they improve. So on the whole, this is some type of research work are being made how to improve the educational system at different levels. So organization next is second unit is organizational structure. So here we can see the how the organizational structure will helpful for the implementing the educational policy. ତାହେଲେ ତମ ଭିତରୁ କିଏ ଗୋଟେ ଏଣ୍ଡ ଅଛ କିଏ ଏଣ୍ଡ ନା ତ ଲେଖା ହେଇନି ତାର କିଏ ଅଛ ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟ କିଏ ଅଛ ଏବେ କଣ ଅଛ ନିତା ରାଣୀ ସିଂ ଶୁଭସ୍ମିତା କର
Yes, ma'am.
ଶୁଭସ୍ମିତା କର ଅଛ ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟ ତମେ
Yes, ma'am.
କୋଉଠୁ କହୁଛ
Ma'am, Bhubaneswar.
Yes, ma'am.
ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରରୁ ଆଚ୍ଛା ଏବେ କଣ ତମେ ଜେନେରାଲ ଏଜୁକେସନ ସରେଇକି ଏଇଟା ପଢୁଛ ନା କଣ କରୁଛ working?
ନାଇଁ ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ମୋର ଜୁଲୋଜି +3 ଜୁଲୋଜି ଥିଲା ମୋ ସାଇନ୍ସ ବ୍ୟାକଗ୍ରାଉଣ୍ଡ ର ବଟ୍ ମୋର ସିଟି ସରିଛି ଏବେ ତ ମୁଁ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଏଜୁକେସନରେ କରୁଛି
ଓହୋ ତ 5th year ସରି ଜୁଲୋଜି ସରି ଏଇଟା କରୁଛ ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା ଭଲ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଆଉ ତମର ଆଉ ସବୁ କ୍ଲାସ ଗୁରା ହଉଛି ଅଜୟ ସାର୍ ନଉଛନ୍ତି ନାଇଁ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ହଁ, ma'am.
ଆଉ ତମେ ନିତା ରାୟ ସିଂ ରାଣା
Yes,
ସିଂ
ma'am.
ତମେ କୋଉଠି ଅଛି କହୁଛ?
ମୁଁ ବରହମପୁର କହୁଛି
ବ୍ରହ୍ମପୁର। ଆଚ୍ଛା, ତମେ କଣ
ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ପଢୁଛ ଏବେ?
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଏବେ ପିଜି ହିଁ କରୁଛି ଆଉ କିଛି କରୁନି।
ଆଚ୍ଛା, କଣ ବିଏ ପାସ୍ କଲା ପରେ ଏଇଟା ପିଜି କରୁଛ?
Yes, ma'am.
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା, ବିଏ କୋଉଥିରେ ଏଜୁକେସନରେ କଲ ନା କୋଉଥିରେ କଲ?
ଏଜୁକେସନରେ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ଆଚ୍ଛା, ଭେରି ଗୁଡ୍। ଆଉ ଏ ବାପୁନ ମହନ୍ତ ଆଉ କିଏ ଅଛ ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟ? କ୍ରିଷ୍ଣା କୁମାରୀ ପ୍ରଧାନ ଆଉ ଦୀପ୍ତି ରେଖା ନାୟକ କିଏ ନାଅ?
Yes, ma'am.
ଆଚ୍ଛା, କ୍ରିଷ୍ଣା କୁମାରୀ ପ୍ରଧାନ। ତମେ କୋଉଠୁ କହୁଛ?
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଗଞ୍ଜାମ ଭଞ୍ଜନଗରରୁ କହୁଛି।
ଗଞ୍ଜାମ ଭଞ୍ଜନଗରରୁ କହୁଛ। କଣ
ହଁ।
ଏବେ କଣ ଏଜୁକେସନ ପଢୁଛ ନା କଣ କରୁଛ?
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଏବେ ପିଜି କରୁଛି ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏସନ ସରିକିରି ଏଜୁକେସନ ଅନର୍ସରେ।
ଭେରି ଗୁଡ୍। ତାହେଲେ ଏବେ ଏଜୁକେସନ ଏମଏ କରୁଛ, ଭେରି ଗୁଡ୍।
Yes,
ଆଉ
ma'am.
ଦୀପ୍ତି ରେଖା ନାୟକ ତମେ କଣ କରୁଛ?
ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍। ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ମୁଁ ଟିଚରସିପ୍ କରୁଛି, ତାପରେ ମୋର +3 ସୋସିଓଲୋଜି ଅନର୍ସରେ କରୁଥିଲି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏବେ ଏମଏ ଟା ଏଜୁକେସନରେ କରୁଛି।
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା, ଏଜୁକେସନରେ କରୁଛ। ହଁ, ଏଜୁକେସନ କଲେ ତମେ ବେନିଫିଟ ହବ ଟିଚିଂ ପାଇଁ ଆଉ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଆଉ ଶୁଭସ୍ମିତା ଦଲେଇ ନାଇଁ ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟ ନା?
ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ହଁ, ତମେ କଣ କରୁଛ?
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ମୁଁ ଟିଚରସିପ୍ କରୁଛି। ମୁଁ ବି ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏସନ ସାଇନ୍ସ ବ୍ୟାକଗ୍ରାଉଣ୍ଡରୁ ଥିଲି। ଦେନ୍
ହଁ,
ମୁଁ ବିଏ କରିଛି ଇଗ୍ନୋରେ। ଏବେ ମୁଁ ପିଜି ଏଜୁକେସନ ନେଇଛି ସେଥିପାଇଁ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା, ଭେରି ଗୁଡ୍।
ୟେସ୍
ଆଉ
ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ଗୀତାଞ୍ଜଳି ବେହେରା
ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ତମେ କଣ କୋଉଠୁ କହୁଛ?
ମୁଁ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ ଖଲିକୋଟରୁ କହୁଥିଲି।
ଖଲିକଟ। କଣ କରୁଛ ଏବେ?
ମୁଁ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ ଟିଚରସିପ୍ କରୁଛି।
କୋଉଠି?
ଏଇ ଖଲିକୋଟ ବ୍ଲକ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ।
ମାନେ ଗଭର୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ସ୍କୁଲରେ ଅଛ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଆଉ ଏଟା ଏମଏ କରୁଛ, ପିଜି କରୁଛ, ବିଏ କରିସାରିଲା ପରେ ପିଜି କରୁଛ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା। ଓହୋ, ଆଚ୍ଛା ତମମାନେ ସ୍କ୍ରିନ୍ ସଟ୍ ନେଇପାରିବ? ମତେ ପଠେଇଦବ।
ହଁ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ।
ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ହଁ, ନେଇଗଲ। ମୁଁ ମୋର ଫୋନରେ ନେଇଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଫୋନରେ ନେଲାକୁ ଶୁଭୁଛି ଡବଲ ଶୁଭୁଛି। ଲାପଟପ କ୍ଲାସ ନେଇକି ଫୋନ ଟା ଖୋଲିଲାକୁ ଲାପଟପରେ ସେ ଇଏଟା ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟ ସେକ୍ଟର ଟାକୁ ଯାଇକି କଲେ ହୁଏ ନା। ଲାପଟପ ରେ କେମିତି କରନ୍ତି? ମୁଁ ସେ ଫୋନ ଟା ଜାଣିଛି। ଫୋନ ଟା ଖୋଲିଲେ ଦେଖିବାର ଫୋନ ଟା ଖୋଲିକି ଦେଖୁଛି। ତମେ ନେଇଥାଅ। ମତେ ପଠେଇଦବ। ମୋ ଫୋନ ନମ୍ବର ଟା ରଖ। ମତେ ଯଦି ମୋର ହ୍ୱାଟ୍ସଆପ୍ କୁ ପଠେଇଦବ।
ହଁ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ହୁଁ।
ପେନ୍ ଟା ଦିଅ।
ତମେ କଣ ଫୋନ ରେ ସବୁ ଦେଖୁଛ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ହଁ।
Yes, ma'am.
ଶୁଭସ୍ମିତା ଘର ତମେ କୋଉଠୁ?
ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ଶୁଭସ୍ମିତା
ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରରୁ। ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱରରୁ।
ଆଚ୍ଛା। ଗୀତାଞ୍ଜଳି ବେହେରା?
ମୁଁ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ ଖଲିକୋଟରୁ କହୁଥିଲି।
ତମେ ଖଲିକୋଟ କହିଲ ଏବେ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ଆଚ୍ଛା। ଆଉ ଜଣେ କିଏ ଅଛି ତା ନାଁ ଟା ବି ରେ କଣ ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି? ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମୀପ୍ରିୟା ମହାରଣା କୋଉଠିକାର?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ, ମୁଁ ଖଲିକୋଟରୁ।
ତମେ ବି ଖଲିକୋଟ? ତାହେଲେ ଖଲିକୋଟରୁ
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
2 ଜଣ ଖଣ୍ଡେ ଅଛ। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା। ଓହୋ। ଆଉ ତମର ସବୁ କ୍ଲାସ ଗୁଡା ହେଇଗଲାଣି? ତମର କେବେ ପରୀକ୍ଷା ହବ ତମର? ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଇୟର ନା?
ହଁ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ, ଜୁନରେ ଏକ୍ଜାମ।
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଜୁନରେ ହଉଛି ପ୍ରାୟ।
ଜୁନରେ ହଉଛି। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା। ଆଉ ତମେ ଏଇଗୁଡାକୁ ତମ ପାଖରେ ଷ୍ଟଡି ମେଟେରିଆଲ ଅଛି?
Yes,
ହଁ
yes,
ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ,
ma'am.
ବୁକ୍ ଅଛି।
ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ହଁ,
ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍, ବୁକ୍ ଅଛି।
ସେଇ ବୁକ୍ ଟା।
ହଁ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ।
ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାନ୍ସ ଗୁଡା ଦେଖିକି ମାନେ ପ୍ରିଭିୟସ ଇୟର କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଗୁଡାକୁ ଟିକେ ଦେଖିଦିଅ। ବେଟର ହବ। ସେଥିରୁ ସେ ଅନୁସାରେ ତମେ ପ୍ରିପେୟାର କରିଦବ।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ।
Okay, ma'am.
ଆଉ
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ନମ୍ବର ଟା ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ।
ହଁ, ମୁଁ ନମ୍ବରଟା ଦଉଛି। ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍କ୍ରିନ୍ ସଟ୍ ଦଉଛି ଦେଖେ। ଫୋନରେ ଜାଣିଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏଇ ଲାପଟପରେ କେମିତି ମୁଁ ଜାଣିପାରୁନି। ମୁଁ ଶୁଣିଥିଲି ଯେ
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଲାପଟପରେ ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟ ସ୍କ୍ରିନ୍ ଗୋଟେ ଅଛି ବଟନ୍ ଉପରେ
ମୁଁ
ଉପର
ଜାଣିଛି,
ଲାଇନରେ ରାଇଟ୍ ସାଇଡରେ ଦେଖିବେ।
ମୁଁ
ସେଠୁ
ଦେଖିଲି
କ୍ଲିକ୍ କରିବେ। ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ଖାଲି
ସେଟା
ଚିପିଲେ
କ୍ଲିକ୍
ହେଇଯିବ।
କରିବେ। ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ସେଟା କ୍ଲିକ୍ କଲା ପରେ ଗୋଟେ ୱାର୍ଡ ଡକ୍ୟୁମେଣ୍ଟ କୁ ଯାଇକି ପେଷ୍ଟ କରିଦେବେ ସେଇଟା ହେଇଯିବ।
ସେଟା କ୍ଲିକ୍ କଲା ପରେ କୋଉଠି ୱାର୍ଡ ଡକ୍ୟୁମେଣ୍ଟ ତ ଆସୁନି କିଛି।
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ତାପରେ ଗୋଟେ ୱାର୍ଡ ଡକ୍ୟୁମେଣ୍ଟ ଖୋଲିବେ ସେଠି ପେଷ୍ଟ କରିଦେବେ ହେଇଯିବ।
हेलो
ଆସୁନି ନା ସେଇ ଅପସନ ଟା ମତେ କିଏ ଗୋଟେ ବତେଇଦେଲେ ମୁଁ
हेलो
ଜାଣନ୍ତି।
मैम विंडोज लोगोस की प्लस प्रिंट मारंतु स्क्रीनशॉट आसीजिवो।
କଣ କରିବି?
विंडोज लोगोस की प्लस प्रिंट जोटा मैडम कहले कि कीबोर्ड रो ऊपर लाइन रो लास्ट को अछि से कीटा विंडोज लोगोस की प्लस प्रिंट मारंतु सेटा स्क्रीनशॉट आसीजिवो।
ମୁଁ ସେଇଟା ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟ ସ୍କ୍ରିନ୍ ଟା ଜାଣିଲି କିନ୍ତୁ ୱିଣ୍ଡୋ କଣ କହୁଛ ସେଇଟା ମୁଁ ଜାଣିପାରୁନି।
मैम जो स्टार्ट बटन भଳି हेतिबो कीबोर्ड रे
ଓହୋ
स्टार्ट बटन लोगोस हेतिबो सेटा विंडोज लोगोस की प्लस सेटा मारंतु हेतिबो।
ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଚ୍ଛା।
ଆସିଗଲା କି?
ମୋର ହେଇନି ମ। ମୋର ମୋବାଇଲରେ ଦେଖୁଛି। ହଉ ମତେ କରିକି ତମେ ଦବ। ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦଉଛି ଡବଲ ହଉଛି। ତମେ ମତେ କରିକି ଦବ ହେଲା। ମୋ ଫୋନ ନମ୍ବର ରଖିବ? କିଏ ରଖିବ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ।
ହଁ ରଖ 94374
ହଁ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ।
88
88
052।
052 ଅର୍ପିତା ସାହୁ।
ମତେ ଏଥିରେ ସେ ଆଜିର ସବୁଦିନ ଦେଖେ ମୁଁ ନେକ୍ସଟ କାହାଠୁ ଯଦି ଶିଖିଦେବି ଭଲ କଥା। ସେ ଝିଅ କହିଛି ତତେ ଶିଖେଇଦି ବୋଲି କଣ ପଠେଇବ ସେ ତ ବେଙ୍ଗାଲୋରରେ ଅଛି କହିଲା ମୁଁ ପଠେଇଦେବି ତୁ ଶିଖିବୁ ଠିକ ଅଛି ମୁଁ ଜାଣିନି। କିନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଏଇଟା ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲି ଏଇଟା ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟ ସେକ୍ଟର ଟା ପାଉଛି। କିନ୍ତୁ ତମେ କହୁଛ ୱିଣ୍ଡୋ ଯୋଉ ଇଏଟା ସେଟା ମୁଁ ପାଉନି ସେଟା କୋଉଠି ଥିବ ସେ ପ୍ରେସ ଇଏରେ ଥିବ ବୋଧେ। ବଟମ
मैम
ରେ
जो
ଥିବ।
स्पेस की अच्छी स्पेस की रो साइट रे अच्छी से कीटा।
ଏଇଟାରେ ତ
ନେଲେ
ସାଇଟରେ ସାଇଟରେ ଡିଭାଇସ ଏଣ୍ଡ ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟର ଏଇଟା ଡିଭାଇସ ଏଣ୍ଡ ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟର ସେଇଟା।
हो मैम गोटे विंडोज लोगो ହେଇଥିବ ଯେମିତି କି ଆମର ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ବଟନ ଯୋଉଟା କୁହାଯାଉଛି।
ହଁ ସେଇ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ବଟନ ତ ଅଛି
ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ
ଡାଉନ ଯୋଉ
ବଟନ
ଅଛି।
ପ୍ଲସ ସେ ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟ କିଟା ମାରନ୍ତୁ ଆସିଯିବ ଆଇଦର ମାରନ୍ତୁ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ବଟନ ଅପର ଆରୋ ଏସ୍
ୱିଣ୍ଡୋ
ୱିଣ୍ଡୋ କି ଅପର ଆରୋ ପ୍ଲସ ଏସ୍ କରନ୍ତୁ ଆସିଯିବ ବି। ଆଟ୍ ଏ ଟାଇମ୍ ତିନିଟାକ କି ପ୍ରେସ୍ କରନ୍ତୁ ଆସିଯିବ।
ଏକା ସାଙ୍ଗେ ତିନିଟା ଗୋଟେ କରିବନି ତିନିଟାକୁ କେମିତି କରିବିରେ ଝିଅ ମୁଁ ତ ଜାଣିପାରୁନି। ନାଇଁ ହବନି ମୋ ଦ୍ୱାରା। ହଁ ତମାନେ କରିଥାଅ ମତେ ପଠେଇବ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଟାଇମ ମୁଁ କୋଉଠି ଗୋଟେ ଯାଇକି ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିକାଲ ନ ଦେଖିଲେ ଜାଣିପାରୁନି। ପ୍ରାକ୍ଟିକାଲ ଦେଖିଦେଲେ ଜାଣିଦେବି କିନ୍ତୁ ଜାଣିପାରୁନି। ଆଚ୍ଛା ନେକ୍ସଟ ହଉଛି we will discuss about organizational structure। ସେ organizational structure ଆମର ଯାଉଛି କଣ ମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ଅଫ ହ୍ୟୁମାନ ରିସୋର୍ସ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ତା ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ସବୁ ଯାଉଛି ଏଲିମେଣ୍ଟାରୀ ଏଜୁକେସନ ସେକେଣ୍ଡାରୀ ଏଜୁକେସନ ଲିଟରେସି ଆଣ୍ଡ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ହାୟର ଏଜୁକେସନ ସେଥିରେ ଯାଉଛି ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ଗ୍ରାଣ୍ଟ କମିଶନ ପ୍ରୋଫେସନାଲ କାଉନସିଲ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ଆଣ୍ଡ କଲେଜେସ୍ open university system programs of higher education level, system of governance of higher education institution, technical education. Next is the initiatives and schemes of Department of Higher Education, collections of statistics, then non-governmental institutions initiatives and public-private partnership. So non-government non-government organization, NGOs, international collaboration, case study of neighboring country, Bangladesh, then latest some of ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ସବୁ ଅଛି ତମର ସେଇଥିରେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା ଫାଷ୍ଟ ହେଉଛି କ'ଣ ନା ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ଏଜୁକେସନ୍ ମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ଏଜୁକେସନ୍ର କ'ଣ ଅବଜେକ୍ଟିଭ୍ସ ରହିଲା so here the objectives is to explain the various departments that are constituents of Ministry of Human Resource Development then exam ଗୀତାଞ୍ଜଳି କହ କ'ଣ କହିଲ କ'ଣ ହେଲା
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାଡାମ
ହଁ କ'ଣ କହୁଛ
ନାଇଁ ମ୍ୟାଡାମ
Acha, oh, okay. Then second was examine the role of different departments under Ministry of Human Resource Development. Then third was highlight the contribution of public-private partnership. Then fourth was analyze the major schemes of MHRD. Then sixth was appreciate the initiatives and schemes by constituent of Department of MHRD for the contribution made by them. Then Ministry of Human Resource Development at all education level from primary to higher education that rendered by the Ministry of Human Resource Development education is heavily very subsidized by the Indian government through their move to make higher education partially self-financing and MHRD is headed by the Ministry of Human Resource Development and he or she assisted by two ministers state minister provides policy overall leadership the ministry comprises of two departments one is Department of School Education and Literacy and second is Department of Higher Education so MHRD is looking after the education so he thinks that higher education should be self-financed course and so this is divided in two parts one is school education and literacy second is Department of Higher Education then Department of School Education and Literacy means before we thinking of the responsible of Department of School Education and Literacy first we see the understand the education system in India at school level school education in India is two-tier system the first 10 years covering the general education followed by 2 years of senior secondary education then in India the secondary higher education school system they are controlled by the following boards one is Central Board of Secondary Schools CBSE then Council of Indian School Certificate Examination ICSE then state government boards then National Institute of Open Schooling as it is evident from the name that Department of School Education and Literacy caters elementary education secondary education and adult school education or literacy the following sections we are thinking of the how the role of this department in the above mentioned area they perform their function so elementary education first we'll see elementary education elementary education gets the lion's share of allocation for the education sector the 10th plan provides an allocation of 300 billion in the central sector for the schemes relating to the elementary education and literacy. The major programs under the elementary education and district primary education program, Sarva Shikha Abhijan, Mahila Samakhya program, Jana Shikha program, national program, nutritional support primary education program, all these Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalaya program. So all these are included in the elementary education. Then district primary education program that is known as DPEP is generally sponsored scheme for holistic development of primary education covering the class 1 to 5. The three major objectives of DPP are to reduce the dropouts rates to less than 10% and reduce the disparity among the gender and social programs, group programs, areas of enrollment, learning, achievement, and less than 5%, improve the level of learning achievement and compared to the baseline surveys. At this point, you may be able to thinking of the what is a baseline survey. So baseline surveys is carried out prior to the start of the continuous enumeration. That's this involves preparation of national map on areas of to be surveyed. So let us now examine the how the DPP is achieved its objectives. The program components of DPP are aimed at achieving the objectives. The program components includes construction of classroom, new schools, opening up alternative schooling centers, appointment of new teachers, setting up early childhood education centers, strengthening state council of education research training, SCRT जोड़ा district institute of education program, DIET. Then it's setting up the block resource centers, cluster resource centers, teaching training, development of teaching learning materials. All these are the under the DPP program that are involved, and this program is periodically reviewed through mechanism of joint review missions, project management information system, and education management information system. So Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is one of them that is sponsored by the government of India for the achievement of universalization of elementary education. It is by a partnership program between the center and the state governments to cover the entire country. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is a time-bound mission with the objective of ensuring a universalization of elementary education and bridging the gender and social gap by the year 2010. The program seeks to open new schools in those habitations which do not have schooling facility and strengthen existing schools infrastructure through provision of additional classrooms, toilets, drinking water, maintenance grant, and school improvement grant. SSA seeks to provide quality elementary education, including life skills. So Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan has a special focus on girls' education and children with special needs. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan seeks to provide computer education to bridge the digital divide. So, what are the objectives of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan? They are all children in school education guarantees center, EGS, alternative school, back to the school camp 2003. So, all should get elementary education. All children complete 5 years of primary education. So, by 2007. All children complete 8 years of elementary schooling by 2010. Focus on elementary education of satisfactory quality with emphasis on education for life. Bridge all gender and social category gaps at primary stage by 2007 and the elementary education by 2010. Then universal retention by 2010. So all these are the different programs of education where different yeah, types of activities are taken out. On the basis of information, we can summarize the totality of Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. It is to a program with clear time frame for universal elementary education, then a response to the demands of quality basic education all over the country, an opportunity for promoting social justice through basic education, an effort at effectively involving Panchayat Raj, an expression of political will for universal elementary education, a partnership between the center, state, and local government, and an opportunity for the states to develop their own vision of elementary education. Strategies for the monitoring is Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. That is, first is in order to monitor the following strategies. The community-based monitoring with transparency. Community should be involved in the education system. So here's a monitoring of quality interview intervention in by NCRT, and another thing, the systematic assessment of procedure for assessment of Sarva Shiksha Abhijan, and district information system for education, that is DISC, school-wide data showing the infrastructure, facility, enrollment, and quality details are collected from the school once a year through structured data captured from the DCPF. So the data who had computerized but the district level using uniform software, and thus a district level database each school is created. Then household survey. This is also another way to get the feedback of the Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. Annual work plan and budget. So here the DPP program, that district elementary education program तार achievement कौन, their objectives कौन, it can be verified and can give the picture of the Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. Then joint review missions reports of district primary education program, DPP and Sarva SSA, Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. So all these programs can give the what is the result of Sarva Shiksha Abhijan. National program of nutritional support to primary education, जो midday meal, that is also तापरे जनशिक्षा शिक्षा स्तर खोस जोटा तुम से भी गोटे अच्छी, नेक्स्ट हूँ तुम महिला समक्षा प्रोग्राम. All these are different programs through which the Sarva Shiksha elementary education, whether it is fulfilled, aim is fulfilled or not. The impact of women mobilization on girls' education. A range of intervention has been introduced to specific local context. These alternatives include residential as well as non-residential learning facilities. What is the significance is to attempt to enable the direct participation of Sanghas women that underpins the running of these various opinions. Mahila Shiksha Kendras provides short-term and long-term courses for girls while preparing the girls to join the mainstream. As an integrated curriculum has been developed to address extra academic needs of girls, especially adolescent girls. In most states, a curriculum includes the following: developing creative skills of expression through writing, drama, song, dance, and gender, health issues of adolescent hygiene and reproductive health, herbal medicine, environment, governance system, focus on local governments, addressing in violence, vocational skills, physical education such as karate, cycling, and sports, etc. Next is secondary education, elementary education by secondary education. So secondary education, that is the serve the bridge between the elementary and higher education. It prepares the young person between the age group of 14 to 18 for entry into the higher education work situations. In India, population of children in age group of between the estimated to be 88.5 million as per the census 2001. Enrollment figure shows that the 31 millions of the children were attending schools in 2001 to 2, which means the two-thirds of the population has remained out of the school. There are a number of autonomous bodies under secondary education. Thus, at present, the center in intervention in secondary education is at 2 levels through apex national level bodies like Navodaya Vidyalaya Samitis and Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathana and National Council Educational Research Training, and National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, and Centers of Tribal Tibetan School Administration. So, then centrally sponsored schemes like Access with Equity, Quality Improvement, School, ICT in schools, integrated education for disabled children. Then autonomous bodies. That autonomous bodies, they like your Jahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, then National Council of Education Research and Training, then National Institute of Open Schooling, Navodaya Vidyalayas, Central Tibetan Schools and Universities, National Foundation of Teacher Welfare Program under secondary education. All these are involved in the secondary education. So most important is national rewards to the teacher. How when the teachers are rewarded, they will be motivated to teach in effective way. So teacher education, another important program, were launched in 1987 to create sound institutional infrastructure for pre-service and in-service training of elementary and secondary school teachers and for provision of academic resource support to the elementary and secondary schools. The scheme had been following components for which the Central Institute of Education and Training means that and then the secondary education institution college and teacher education city college of teacher education and institute of advanced studies in education ISC that sending the state council of educational research and training NCRT. All these are the involved in the teacher education program. Then literacy in India, the literacy campaign are being implemented with the varying degree of success. Remarkable progress has been achieved on several fronts. The campaign are also responsible for the movement against the social evil like anti-liquor, dowry system, child marriage, theft, credit. It also created conducive environment in reducing the dropout rate of girls, children from schools, and colossal enrollment of children in primary schools and success of immunization campaign. So how the literacy rate was also increased through these different programs of secondary education. So another thing is that private partnership. NLM recognize that vast potential of non-government organizations, NGOs, for in furthering the objective and has been taken measures strengthen the partnership of NGOs and has assigned them an active promoting role in the literacy movement. Then special intervention for female literacy. As per the census 2001, 47 districts in the country have female literacy rate below 30%. Special innovative programs have been taken up to low literacy of district of promoting female literacy. Projects for residential literacy. Despite of success of literacy praise, there are just still pockets of residential illiteracy, low female literacy. To tackle this problem, projects for residential illiteracy (PRI) have been taken out. Next was the dependent of higher education. सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन एलिमेंटरी से पढ़ला सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन पढ़ला एवं हायर एजुकेशन. Higher education means what? It is before finishing our secondary education. There are children who have to promoted to higher education. So there are principles, levels, qualification within the higher education system in the country. These are bachelor degree or undergraduate level, master degree, post graduation level, or doctoral or pre-doctoral level. So we have already learned that certain sections of government has made an endeavor to provide primary education to all on a universal basis, and higher education in progressively moving into the domain of private sector with a gradual reduction in government subsidized higher education in getting more and more costly, and hence the need of institutional funding needed in this area. Loans for the education are now being seen as an investment for economic development and project. ଏବେ ପିଲାମାନେ ହାୟର ଏଜୁକେସନକୁ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଲୋନ୍ ଦେଉଛି, ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ସବୁ ଲୋନ୍ ଦେଉଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ପାଠ ପଢ଼ିବାକୁ. So this is presently there are 23 central university in our country. In pursuance of the Mizoram Accord, another central university in state is planned, and there are 99 institutions which have been declared as deemed to be university by the government of India as per the section of UGC Act 1956. State government are responsible for the establishment of state university. Departments of higher education carries out substantial part of its work through about 90 autonomous organizations, chiefly the following. What are the University Grants Commission, then ICHR, Indian Council of Historical Research, Social Science Research, ICSSR, Indian Council of Philosophical Research, ICPR, Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, IAC, Simla Central University, All India Councils of Technical Education, AICT, and India Institute of Technology, IIT, India Institute of Science and Education Research, IISR, and Technology, IIT, Indian Institute of Science Education Research. All these are involved in the higher education. So the higher education department has been they are attached to officers and one public sector understanding and given below the Central Hindi Directorate and New Delhi Commission for Scientific and Technical Technology, New Delhi Central Institute of Indian Languages, and Mysore and Educational Constitution of India. They are looking after this all these educational facilities given at higher university level. University Grants Commission is responsible for coordination and determination and maintenance of the standards, release the grants for the university, higher education, school level institution. The UGC The UGC is a statutory organization established by an Act of Parliament 1956 for the coordination and determination and maintenance of standards of university education. Apart from the providing grants to university college, the Commission also advance central and state governments on measures which are necessary for the development of higher education. So these are the how education system at higher education university level is determined by different organizations. So national eligibility test. Now, after passing the teacher, they have to pass the national ability test for teaching ability. So being conducted by the UGC since the 1989 and eligible for the lectureship and research fellowship. नेट तुम नेशनल जी पास कर लेक्चरशिप टीचरशिप पाइपर. So national facility UGC established 4 national facility centers in the selected university as for the details given. Western Regional Instrumentation Center Mumbai, MST Radar Facility Sri Venkateswara University Tirupati, Inter University Center Humanities and Social Sciences and Indian Institute of Advanced Studies Simla, Crystal Growth Center in Anna University Madras. So Western Regional Instrumentation Center Mumbai, that has been established by University Grant Commission in 1978. So it is the objective to provide training to ESIF staff and students for proper use and maintenance of instruments, conducting advanced study programs such as workshop, seminar for teachers, research workers, universities, and industries. So here we can find different institutions which are looking after the higher education. Then inter-university centers, IUC. UGC has been setting the autonomous centers for from 1984. The first one established to provide common facility for research and for various services programs to the university since heavy investment, infrastructure, and input is beyond the reach of the individual in the university to obtain this facility. The centers, Inter-University Acceleration Center and Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics, then UGC DET Consortium for the Scientific Research Indoor and Consortium for the Educational Communication, New Delhi Information and Library and Network, Ahmedabad National Assessment and Accreditation Council, Bangalore. So these roles, they have certain roles to play. So the different roles has been given by the UGC to monitor these programs. Then the central university also there, state university also there. State university and colleges look after the higher education. Open university system is also there. Systems of governance of higher education institutions that also look after the higher education. Technical education is there. They are also getting of the higher education. So different types of bodies. So in government bodies and private bodies, they are looking after the higher education programs. So here include both the girls education, technical education, vocational education, all these things. So giving scholarship to the students, international cooperation. So MOU that is also sponsored by the universities with the other countries. So this is how the government institution of higher level, they higher education level that are imparting education. So here also international collaboration are there, UNICEF, World Bank, European Commission, UNESCO, all they are also taking into different steps to promote the higher education. So case study of a neighboring country Bangladesh तार केमती हेची सेटा मध्ये ताम बहिरे देइची. You can find it. नेक्स्ट हमारे पासिबो कौन आम देखिए रोल ऑफ नेशनल बॉडीज कौन कौन नेशनल बॉडीज रही गोटे बोर्ड ऑफ स्कूल लेवल ले अच्छी आमर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन प्रोवाइड एजुकेशन स्कूल लेवल नेशनल बाल भवन नेशनल काउंसिल ऑफ एजुकेशन रिसर्च एंड ट्रेनिंग देन different types of council of higher education, professional council, quality of higher education. All these are how these national bodies they are looking after the higher education. Here we can find the boards at school level, council of Indian certificate education. It is the next class रे पढ़िए केमती होची also पढ़िए आज एति थाउ. So all are present. Hello.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And today's class is finished. Anything to tell me? ତମର ନିଜର କିଛି ଯଦି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ଅଛି କହ ବା ପାଠ ବିଷୟରେ ଯଦି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ଅଛି କହ. କିଛି ଅଛି କହିବାକୁ? हेलो कृष्णा कुमारी प्रधान
Yes, ma'am.
कौन कहबार अच्छी कह आज खाइछ कौन हैं खाना पीना ହେଇଛି ନା ନାଇଁ ଆଜି କାଇଁ କିଛି ଉତ୍ତର ଦଉନ
ନାଇଁ ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଏବେ ଖାଇବୁ।
ଖାଇନ ଏବେ ଖାଇବ ଭୋକ
ହଁ
କଲାଣି ହଉ ଯା
ହଁ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ଏବେ ଗୁଡ ନାଇଟ୍
ହଁ ଗୁଡ୍ ନାଇଟ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ପୁଣି ଆଉ ଥରେ ତମ କ୍ଲାସ ଅଛି ଯେବେ ଦେଖିବା ଦେଖା ହବ ହେଲା ଓକେ
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ୟେସ୍ ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ମତେ ସେ ଫଟୋ ପଠେଇବ ସ୍କ୍ରିନଶଟ ଟା
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍
ହଁ ଓକେ ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ
गुड नाइट मैम
गुड नाइट
Thank you, madam.
हाँ
गुड नाइट मैम।
गुड नाइट
थैंक यू
मैम
मैडम।
Thank you, ma'am,
थैंक
for
यू
this
मैम फॉर
class.
दिस क्लास
Good night, ma'am.
गुड नाइट
Good night.
गुड नाइट टू ऑल बहुत भल लगिला तुम संगे इंटरेक्शन करिकी थैंक यू फॉर योर इन्वॉल्वमेंट
थैंक यू मैम
थैंक यू थैंक यू
Thank you,
थैंक
ma'am.
यू मैम।
थैंक यू
Thank you, ma'am.
थैंक यू केतବେଳେ देखा हबो तुम संगे फिजिकली एटा तो फिजिकली हेई पारुनी तेणु जेतବେଳେ फिजिकली देखा हबो सेतବେଳେ कथाबार्ता करबा आ कोन
Again.
सियर मैम।
ओके बाय